Okay, hi, and welcome to Whispers of Inner Power. This is a soft, spacious interview series that I started recently for sensitive, soulful entrepreneurs who are doing business differently. Each guest shares their story first through a written interview on my Substack, and then when they're up for it, we hop on a short audio or video chat like this one to go a little bit deeper together. Today, I'm so happy to be joined by Elfin Waters, an Italian language coach and retreat host whose work is all about connection, not just with the language, but with the slower rhythms of a small town Italian life. Elfin, we go way back.
Yes, we do.
It's like 8 years, 7 years, 8 years.
Let's not count.
Do you remember how clueless we used to be? Yes. um, it's always interesting, I think, and funny to see. Funny, but also deeply, I don't know, humbling and interesting to see how we have, grown alongside each other, how our perspectives have changed. The business world has changed, yes, but I think we have deeply changed as well. And yeah, go ahead. You
Our
were going to say
lives
something.
have changed.
Yes.
No, 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 no. Yeah, no, no, I was thinking about what you were saying. First of all, hi. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. What you were saying is change. Well, yes, because our space has changed. The world has definitely changed. We've grown, we've learned, but our lives have changed, and so what we are doing has to reflect the changes that have come about in our lives. And if I only think about how different our lives were when we met the first times we met, it's
Yeah,
really an eye opener.
exactly. And I think that 8 years is a long time. It's a life cycle, and it's a question of how circumstances have changed, but also how I feel we've changed internally, and we've come to also understand, or not even understand, like bring ourselves more compassion, I would say, over time. And understand that we don't have to do things as everyone else is doing their own thing. In your written interview, you shared about how you had a life-changing accident and that led you to rebuild
Mhm,
from scratch. And there's
mhm,
something
mhm.
that you mentioned that really stayed with me. You said that after your accident, which was in 2013, if I read that
Yes, the
correctly.
answer.
Sorry, you said that you had to dream again, and that was the beginning of your business journey. But that sounded even the beginning of a business journey, but it sounded even more like a deep personal shift. Can you tell us a bit about that
Yes,
time?
yes, yes. I cannot separate the two. Um, I really cannot separate the two because mm I always had this urge to do something. I was never satisfied with things as I found them. I was like, whatever job I was holding, I was wanting to tweak this, do that, or why don't we do this? I had this fire in me. I'm a very quiet person but inside I always have had this hunger, this urge, this, oh, we could do this. So that has always been a part of me. But let's say that after a while, I had just entered this sort of routine in which I was slowly, gradually um, reducing, getting out of touch with myself, my expectations, my dreams. I use the word dream, but by dream I mean everything like wanting to do something, wanting to put something out there, wanting to have an idea, wanting to create a business, wanting to do things I love. And that you're into a certain phase of life in which you think, oh, well, I'm growing up. I see quite a few people saying that your job, you're not supposed to enjoy your job. Oh, do this. You sort of adjust, you know, to what everyone else is doing. You don't realize you're doing that, and that's what you're doing. Then our lives on our workplaces can be a bit discouraging, because you see that there are many people that may not be as driven as you are. Anyway, what happened to me personally, and this may not be everybody's experience, people who are listening, is that I'd sort of stopped engaging in things that lit me up. I thought I did not have time. I just it was so gradual. I didn't even realize it at the time. If you told me at the time that was what was happening, I wouldn't have known. And then after I was after the accident, I was in terrible pain. I was, suffering a lot. But I hesitate to it when I go back to my journals, I know how hard that period was, but it was also positive because I started rethinking and reimagining my life. And I think that is always a positive thing, no matter what else is happening in. And that I was nowhere near starting a business, but that was a big, huge step because I started realizing then what things really mattered to me and what I didn't want to compromise uh,
Give me
anymore. What
shivers.
what the things I didn't want to do. Sorry.
I say you give me shivers. It's very powerful what you're sharing. I think it's really
Oh.
beautiful to see that in our in our obstacles, in our pain, there is wisdom, beauty,
Mm-hmm.
realizing things. Like it makes us like wake up calls. I lost my father last year. I'm turned 42 years ago. I'm in the beginning of the first phase of the 40s. I think for me these two events might have been my car accident, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that it just shook me open in the sense of I know now what matters to me, and I don't want to waste any time. Like I don't want to, you know, like to see that someone is close to you. My father passed, he was 69, and he had these dreams and he had these plans of traveling the world, of going back to university. He was full of life. And to think like 69 is so young, and it's like it's in 15 years. If I die at the same time, like no, I have so much else, so many things I want to do. It's not 15 years, it's 25 years. I'm confused about numbers, but anyways, it just feels like there's not not enough time, not enough time. There's a lot of time. What I mean is that it just puts you back into realizing or to gauging what is it that I really want to live? What's the experience I want to have? And it's not so much a question of possessions or what success means for other people. It's really a question of how do I want to live every day, and what do I want to put out there? What do I want to contribute? And I think that you share that a lot through your business as well. Like it shows in everything you share how driven you are by this mission.
Mm. Yes, I want to just lock in what you were saying about time. We have a lot, we have a little, and that's so interesting because sometimes it's like we have a lot and we don't have a lot, in the sense that we sometimes act like we have all the time in the world and we don't use our time wisely, and at the same time we have more time than we realize. And finding, I think that as business owners we're caught in between these two things of not seeing how much we can do over a longer range of time, and expecting instead the time in a week to make it mean more than it can actually mean, because it cannot mean all of that. So
Yeah.
sorry, I had really needed to point this out.
No, that's really, really interesting. And you would know about having a little or a lot of time. You've been battling with migraines for a long, long time. So you share that in the interview how you've adapted your business around this chronic migraines, this unpredictable energy. You mentioned again something beautiful, that pushing yourself makes things worse. So you've learned to simplify,
Yes.
to be more intentional, and to ask yourself, what is one thing I can do for my business even on a migraine day? And that's such a powerful question. What have you learned through that?
Well, luckily, luckily, this happened at a time which I had a bit more self-knowledge. I mean, in the bad luck, I had the good luck of having this situation getting out of hand. Now that I know myself a bit more, and just saying, okay, what can I do with what I do have? Because on the first instinct is that of going desperate. Oh, I cannot do anything. Ah, I cannot. And then there's, okay, this is it. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it won't. What can I do with what I do have? And then
Mm-hmm.
thinking, okay, so when I'm not feeling great, what is it something I can always show up to? That I show up joyfully, even if I'm 1 foot in my deathbed, something really strong is happening. And I realized that there were a few things that I actually could do that I really enjoyed doing. And that was collaborations. They light me up. They remind me of why I'm doing this. Speaking to somebody else about your business has to be like the more, well, for me it is. I assume it is for everybody. But it's something that reminds you of your values, of why it matters to you, and it gives you, aside from increasing your mailing list, getting you helping you know other businesses, meet and connect with other businesses, it helps you reconnect with the power of your vision, because that is not something that we figure out once and we're good to
Mm-hmm.
go. No, it has ebbs and flows. I'm sure everybody that is listening and watching this knows there are moments in which we sort of forget what was so important to us. And so just showing up, going to somebody else's platform and talking about my values, talking about what matters, lit me up in a period in which not much was lighting me up, and really helped me show back for more. I would send other pitches, connect with other people, and yes, and that really helped. That was one thing that really, and I thought, wow, this is so simple and yet so powerful at the same time. And yet, this one thing is something I'd been putting on the back burner because I thought I had to be creating content, showing up once a week here, here, and here. But now I cannot do that. That's all beautiful stuff. I love writing new posts. I love doing all that. But for now, no.
And I love
And
that. It's also a question of like you mentioned to accept the season that we're in and what's happening now and to tune into that. Um, and our preferences, because there are many ways to, like you said, gain visibility or share your mission,
yes,
or there are many, many paths. The common mistake that you and I both know is to try to do it all and to believe that there is a perfect way to show up. Whereas really, for me at the time, it was really, I wanted to host a lot of webinars and be a speaker on webinars. And I have been, I did that. In this season of my life, I find it excruciatingly tiring to do that. Like I have to take my whole energy for a week to be able to do one of these things. And then the rest of the month, it gets a bit chaotic. Um, and I'm like, I'd rather do interviews. I'd rather speak with people. I'd rather show up imperfectly and do it like this little chat we're having now, where we're, just nothing's planned. We just go for it, and it's a moment of connection. It's good. It works for you. It lights you up, like you said. Like it's not a question of doing things that drain you, but are really bring something to your soul. And I really believe that when we follow that joy, it's bound to bring better results, at least for our mental health, than
yes, yes.
anything else we're not doing with heart. Yeah.
Yes, but for example, webinars that have always been your superpower. Okay, not for now. It doesn't mean not for forever.
Yeah, yeah,
And and, and this is something an internal dialogue that I think we all have with ourselves, that we think that if something is in a certain way now, So they're like, oh, it's going to be this way. For no, it's not. It's for now. My energies are this way now. They'll get better. They'll get worse. They will. I don't know. I don't know. And later on, we'll rephrase, adapt. As you are always saying, it's your business. And I think that is the one sentence that really I struggled with for years with this. It's your business, because we have this idea for our business and it's great. But then we trap it with what we know of businesses out there. We look for a roadmap. Perfectly understandable. I totally understand. But that sort of traps us, and we forget that we are making the rules, which is not easy, but it's also, when you learn to do it, it's also liberating. And because you see that you are forcing yourself to do things that you decided you can change, And I'm only now fully understanding what Jessica told me years back. It's your business. And it's not an easy lesson to learn, but it's an important one.
Yeah, and it's what I keep on learning.
Yeah.
I have this ability to share wisdoms that I'm still learning myself. It's really, I think we discussed a few months ago in one of the journaling sessions we have in the Soulful Biz Club. It's like, I've put all these rules about, like, I made up the rules myself, yes. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to post 2 blog posts a week. I wanted to put goal in. I'm really happy I did. And I might go back to it because I really enjoy writing prolifically on Substack. But I was stuck with it, just like you were saying. Like, I cannot right now, and I have to do it, and what I'm going to do. And but wait a minute, I put that rule, so I can just drop it. I could change it because it's not serving me right now. So even though I said that to you years ago, it's still something that we're learning because I keep talking and we keep talking about breaking the rules of business and ditching the bro marketing and the hustle culture. We know what the general rules of business are. We know what people say you should do. You just go on Instagram for half an hour and you have all these rules that show up and okay, so that's what we're supposed to do. So I think that on our business journey, we have learned to break these rules, to be like, oh no, like that's not the way. I'm going to do it my way. But then we put these old rules on ourselves that are our own, but they're still rules, and we're still able to break them because we are ever changing, and our energy changes, and what we're capable, our capacity changes. It's not capable in the sense of skills; it's the capacity, the bandwidth that we have at different stages of our lives, but also of our year and of our month and sometimes of our week.
Seasons, seasons,
Right?
yes, absolutely. Mm, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel very
Totally.
passionate about this.
Well, I think that as a mother, I think that is an important thing to bear in mind. But I think also other people who have other elements in their lives that, and we are made to feel sometimes like we are the mistake,
Mm,
No, life is, the way it is, and there are no real mistakes except, forcing ourselves to do things that don't work for us. But it's not easy. I mean, I don't, it's not like you can say, okay, I'm going to be more self-compassionate tomorrow. It's a journey in which you learn to recognize when you're being hard on yourself, which is, it's hard. It's really hard. It sounds like an easy thing to do, but it's really hard to be kinder and gentler on ourselves because nobody's taught us that. And and we live in a world that doesn't really teach us that doesn't encourage us to be truly gentle on ourselves, in a practical, what does that mean in a practical, from a practical standpoint? We don't really know that,
exactly.
and we
You
have to
see all these,
discover.
yeah, you see those beautiful things on Pinterest and social media, like be kind to yourself. Oh yeah, cool. Now I am. I
I
didn't know
never thought
that.
about that.
I didn't know. It's not. Although luckily, I must say, like I think that there's more and more awareness around mental health and that kind of things, which I'm super grateful for. That it's becoming spoken of more. And yes, you did mention that feeling of shame is something that we've discussed a lot previously, you and I as well. Like you said, feeling that you're the one who's inadequate, you're the one who's the mistake, you're the one that's not correct. And that separates us. It makes us, not want to, like, if you feel that you're the one that's different and that's not making it or that's not a fit, then you don't want to show others that weakness somehow because that's how it's perceived. And so that's really what I really want to break this. That's why I show up imperfectly the more that I can. Because I think that when we can drop that role we play, we can drop the mask for a minute and say, oh no, like I'm doing shit too. Like sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, and sometimes I say I do that and I do something else, and we all mess up and we all struggle, whether that's with mental health, with life, with lifing and being messy and chaotic. Like we all face the same thing, and then if you're inadequate, then all of us are.
Mhm.
I feel that's the way to to get out of shame really and to bring more closeness between entrepreneurs like us who want to tell the truth.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we think that if we're saying this, I don't know, for example, my business is doing badly now, or I cannot show up as much as I want. We think that we'll be weaker, that we are breaking that external. And but when instead the exact opposite is true. When I was back in spring, I reached out to some fellow business owners about the difficulties I was going through at the time. At first I was embarrassed, but then I realized that it gave me more strength, and I had people share insights that were very useful that I wouldn't have had on my own. And after, I felt stronger. I felt much stronger. It's the other way around, because all of our problems are born from this silence that we keep. This not wanting to tell other people our flaws and so on, and that actually weakens us, because if what we're keeping inside is eating at us, in the minute instead, quite frankly, we reach out to people that we trust, that we know, that we are
Yeah, of
like-minded
course.
with, and share what our journey has been, we find out that other people maybe are going through the same, or maybe they have a different perspective on what you're doing. And it actually makes you stronger, both in the eyes of others, which we care what other people think, but in our own eyes, we see ourselves as, wow, that wasn't so hard. That wasn't so bad. It wasn't the end of the world. I'm here. Let's go out. Let's do this. you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of power in that. Honestly, I feel every time I've shown vulnerability, every time I've shared what's going on in my life that is not so joyful and sparkles, I've been met with nothing but compassion and support
Mhm.
from my community. Yes, like you said, it's not going to a stranger who knows is going to be judgmental,
Mhm.
But yeah, mostly, I think all of the reactions have always been super supportive. There's emails, that get back, and like I feel also we create those connections, and people remember you as well. They're like, oh, I remember what you went through. You remember what I went through years ago, or what I went through last year. You know how I felt because I told you, and you know how you felt when it reminded you of your own story. So that's a really strong um, connection there, definitely. You said something, and it's really connected to what we've already talked about. But you said we're not just building businesses; we're unlearning, reimagining, and reclaiming ourselves. And I'd love to close with this. What's something you have recently reclaimed?
I don't know. I had this realization when I was filling out answering your questions, and I understood that I never really paid attention to my instincts. That my actual inner power that you're often talking about, I haven't never really paid much attention, because I didn't think I had uh, any particular instincts. But then, this was last months have been a period of epiphanies. I realized that in the past I had some incredible instincts and I stifled them because I thought I didn't know best. And that's not saying that I knew best, but I knew something. I had something in me that was sort of warning me, that was trying to help out. And that
Mhm.
realizing this is helping me pay more attention now to what I'm saying, to my inner dialogue, my little bells going off, little red flags, or whatever. Just being more respectful of what I think about something. Sometimes I do know better than, I don't know, a coach, or somebody else, some guru or whatever. Sometimes I do know better. I do know better because I know what my life is, what my needs are, what my goals are. So I think that was a big realization, and
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So yeah.
It's something that we learn, when trained to be a coach. Something that I say to people because I learned this sentence when I was doing my training. The only expert of you is you, and you
Yes.
can get guidance, you can get insights, you can get advice. Hopefully, when you ask for it. um, but there are all tentative guidances, and you always have to do your own shopping because the only expert of you is you. And I find it both empowering and terrible at the same time because sometimes I wish that someone else could give me the manual of me, or not even the manual, but I'm thinking, even your intimate relationships, I'm talking about marriage or partnerships, you wish the other person would know what it feels like to be you. Nobody knows what it feels like to be you. You can explain, you can use words, you can be graphic, and yet the whole experience of being in your body, of feeling your emotions, of have had your own experience, your stories, your feelings, only you know that. And so it means that only you have that very special perspective that you have. And yes, it has value not only to you, to others as well.
Yes, it's hard. It's not easy. It's not something you can decide to do. It takes time, self attention, self awareness, and so on. But then you notice and start paying more attention. And yes, that's just
I love this way of concluding, of putting a definition as well to self-reclamation and power. And I agree with you. It's a journey. It's not something that happens in your, well, I would say in your 20s. I was saying not in my 20s anyways. Maybe it happens to someone else in their 20s. But doesn't matter when it happens. But it's a journey for sure of unlearning and deconditioning and seeing that this truth, this power, this intuition. It's not something you need to gain. It's something you need to reconnect with. It's always been there.
reconnect with. Yes, I think that's the word, the key word. And it can take some time, but it will happen. And yes.
Yes. Elfin, thank you so much for sharing your story and all of this with us.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you, the listeners, for taking the time to be a part of these conversations. Until next time.
Okay. Bye. Bye, everybody.